All right. Okay, this is great. All right, so I don't know how many of you saw last week's call. Hi, Claire. Thanks for joining us. Colin, is Claire your friend?
Yes, she's actually out of Florida.
Oh, nice. So it's noon for her. And Mimi's on. Andrew, thank you for joining. So, all right, so let's get started right away because I've got a lot to talk about, and I'll be also brief and not spend most of the time talking about this. So there's a couple of concepts I wanted to cover today and talk a little bit about what we discussed last time, which was, if you recall, we discussed the concept of the fact that human beings like to have renewal dates, right? Every, what do we do on January 1st? Oh, it's a new year. I'm going to, shed my bad habits and I'm going to start anew. And I was discussing the concept of that we could technically every minute, every hour, every day claim, okay, it's a new day. I'm going to shed. I'm going to start over. I'm going to be more of the person I knew I could be. I'm going to be more consistent about my lead generation. But in the absence of humans doing that, because we won't, is I like to use July 1st as a new date, as like, okay, July 1st is day one of the second half of the year. So if you heard me talk about that last time, you might say, okay, not a new concept, you mentioned it. But what else did I say last time? And if you watched the recording, you may have picked it up. If you didn't, no big deal. The recordings now too, guys, just let you know now, we've been changing a lot since this. We're becoming more and more in the 2021 era by having everything be recorded and then put on YouTube. We were trying to see, like, we were having trouble keeping our recordings, and now they're all being put on YouTube. So sorry about that. The list of, I will put in the chat the site that you can go to catch any missing, it'll tell you everything you need to know about training sites. And there's a lot of forms and links and scripts. And we're going to talk a lot about some of that stuff today. All right. So it's www.rgtresources. If you have not examined this site, there's a lot in there, a lot more than meets the eye when you first get on the site. So look around, play around. There's a lot of good stuff in there. All right. So I was talking about that, and I said, what about you? Like, when you think about what would you do differently starting over again on July 1st for the second half of the year, and you're only looking at the first half of the year. Let's not, we have such a horrible habit of beating up on ourselves and thinking about all the horrible habits. Oh, remember that girl I broke up with, and I was a horrible man, and none of that matters. All right. July 1st, fresh new start. It's right around the corner. And what are the things that you want to do in July consistently starting July 1st that you haven't done up till then? And the reason I bring it up now is today's the 18th. So it gives us about 12 more days to practice those new things that you want to put into effect. Now, then in the script, in the, I'm going to pull up the email real quick that I sent out on this as far as announcing today's call, that email. And Claire, for instance, people like you can go onto that site, and there's a way to sign up on that site for you to receive these regularly, right? So here's what I talked about in the email that I sent you. I said, let's further the discussion of what to ask, what to say, and how to become the person and agent you have to get the amount of business you dream of. I said, you can in this order. Now watch this, guys. You can believe and then plan and then take action and succeed. That would be ideal, meaning that you started with belief. You started with this amazing belief that you were capable of doing all these amazing things, and you believed in it, and you started to act accordingly. If you acted accordingly, as I said, then you would believe, then you would plan, then you would do the actions, and of course you would succeed. But sometimes you do it in this order, and this is sometimes what happens with me. In fact, a lot more than sometimes, is I plan, I take action, then I check out if I succeed at all, like even some results, and then now I start to believe. Now, why am I saying that I do that? I'm not saying I do that so you can feel good about whether you do that or not, but that's what I do. When I was hired in 1993 to run a real estate office, I was hired to run someone else's real estate office. Do you know why they hired me or wanted to hire me? They wanted to hire me because I was a top listing agent. They said, if you're a top listing agent, then you can be a great recruiter and you can convince other people in the office to sell more real estate like you sell real estate. So I took the risk and went and ran this real estate company. Guess how much the managers were being paid back then? The managers were being paid, oh, that's right, nothing. I accepted a job based on my ego to do a job that I thought I could do. I didn't have belief, but I had the guy that believed in me more than I believed in myself hired me. And they said, oh, no, we don't have a salary or anything, but once the office is profitable, then you start getting 45% of that office profitability. And I'm like, when was the last time, sir, before I take this job, when was the last time that this office was profitable? He goes, oh, it's actually never been. Right? So now I'm thinking about taking this job, but this guy had so much belief in me that all I could do is go, what am I, an idiot? I could probably take this, get that up, right? And I did remember at one point about 3 years later, my monthly pay, and you got to remember this is in the 90s, one of my checks was 30 grand for the profit of my 45% of the profitability of that office. So it did pay out over years. But we had, ups and downs. You have ups and downs in real estate. Sometimes there's no profit, But the thing that I loved about it is they told me I could continue to sell. Everybody else said, no, if you're managing, you're not selling, you're not doing both at the same time. So I was still making a lot more money selling houses than I was managing. But why do I use that example? This guy, and I shared this with you guys before a little bit about the story, because I remember it was my 13th year in real estate, and I was working at my uncle's brokerage, and all of my uncles, cousins, aunts, they all said, don't do it. It's stupid. Just stay right here with the family. And my dad pulled me aside. And if you remember me telling the story since, I said, my dad was selling part-time real estate. He had a full-time corporate job. And he said to me, son, I don't ever want you to say, I wish I had. So I'm going to ask you, what's the worst case scenario? The worst if you go take this job. I said, the worst case, Dad, probably be that I'd fail and then I would just come back to Uncle Bill's brokerage. And he goes, is that so bad? I said, not really. He goes, then do it. He said, I'm going to promise you, son, one day you're going to say, I'm glad I did versus I wish I had. So there's my dad believing in me, the guy that was trying to hire me believing in me not necessarily believing in me so much. What did I believe in about myself? That I was a very hard worker and I could learn, like I was smart enough to learn. Now, that started a dramatic change in my entire life that today is still paying dividends. My ability to speak and coach and train all came out of that one decision. So that's about using someone else's belief to fire your ambition. By fire, I don't mean get rid of it, but fire it up, like fire up your ambition. And that's why I like to talk about using July 1st to refire up your ambition. Now, remember what I said in the email again. Are you starting with belief and then moving into planning and action? Or are you starting with, I'm going to develop a plan, I'm going to take some action, I'm going to get some results, and based on those results, I'm going to believe more in what I'm capable of doing. Now, you might be talking about plan what? Action what? It's simple, guys. We're all talking about the same damn thing. Lead generation. Doing something consistently, and that's the most important word, consistently, on a regular basis, 5 days a week to create business for yourself. That's where we're missing. Oh, I'm busy. You're busy doing what? You're chasing leads. All right? You're wondering how to save money to get a Zillow account. There's so many ways to get leads for free. And I'm fine if you got the money and you want to spend money on postcards and all of this, but I got to tell you, you got feet, you can walk, you can knock on doors, you can walk your dog, walk someone else's freaking dog and drop flyers at doors, you know, talk to people that are out on in their yards. This is the best time of the year to do that. I always say spring and summer are the best time to sell tons of real estate, because if you're chicken to knock on a door, then you're still going to have the odds of about 1 or 2 out of every 10 doors. If it's a beautiful day like today, the people are going to be standing out in their yard, or watering the lawn, or washing their car, or playing with their dog, or whatever. All right. So now there's a lot of things to be said about scripting. All right. So we're at a time period. So I want to stop right there. I know a lot of you guys don't want to talk. You like to go into the chat group, but let's see. Oh, sorry, Kimberly. I didn't hear any noises because I only have one ear thing in, but yeah, either I can mute everybody, but I think everybody is now muted. Okay. So the reason I say all this is that when we start to be the person that's going to be more consistent in our lead generation efforts, that's why I love when Vanessa's on. She's got a wall of transactions going on behind her, and ooh, look at that wall, even more. Well, there is the whiteboard behind you too, but Vanessa's recently just experienced a lot of stuff. She got several different awards that she gets from our company, and she got awards from her local board, and she's in Oklahoma City. So if you ever need to refer someone to Oklahoma, Vanessa's your girl. Don't worry about where it is in Oklahoma. She'll figure it out and take care of it for you. So anyway, oh, look, they're adding another deal to the board as we speak. Hi, Heather. So I want you to be thinking about, what am I not doing and what I am doing? And most of you and me, I know my demons. I know what I'm not doing effectively. I just took a rash of listings. I literally took $11 million worth of listings in the last 7 days. And I'm very excited about it. The market's starting to shift, so the sellers are a little nervous. Rick, do you think we can get this sold for top dollar? And we're hearing a lot of that now. Most of you are probably still experiencing lower inventory. Raise your hand or say something in the chat if you're still experiencing low inventory. Anyone? Yeah. So we are experiencing it, but not quite as much in the more high price per square foot areas, and areas where people are more escaping from rather than returning to. So those are some things to consider. The call that we did several weeks ago was talking about knowing your market of the moment, not necessarily needing to predict it, but acting with that. So this is the best meeting, because what you're going to be able to do is take all of that information. We just got open houses back in our area, and we're going to have a ton of them this weekend. I think we're having 10 open houses this weekend total between Saturday and Sunday for listings and my team. The reason I bring that up is some of those people have never done open houses. They came into the business during COVID, right? So it was a big deal to try to get people to understand, how can you do an open house and have it be effective? Well, what's the most effective open house? Oh yeah, that's right. The one that leads you to some business. And you might say, oh, I thought Rick was going to give me more detail than that. No, you can do open houses in a million different ways. And I promise you, there's a saying in the network marketing industry, I've said it before, you can't say the wrong thing to the right person. If a buyer walks in, they're excited to buy, you're the first agent they've come across that was nice to them, then you could screw up all you want, they're still going to want to buy a house from you. You just got to talk to more people. Say less is what my wife taught me, that about the network marketing is say less to more people. How can you say less to more people in the real estate industry? Everybody finds you, go, hi, so good to see you. Do you know anybody thinking about buying or selling a house right now? Okay, great. Have a nice day. That's saying less to more people, right? You could say that over and over and over again. And people say, that's silly. You know what? It is silly. But I know several people in my career that did that. They do it at gas stations. They do it. I think I shared with you the story about, people call them the mom and daughter team, but they're not even related. They're just two really good friends. One's old enough to be the mom. The other one's old enough to be her daughter. And they got kicked out of Costco. Do you remember me talking to you about this? They got kicked out of Costco because they go into Costco to prospect. And do you know where they go in Costco? They go to the TV and electronics aisle, and they go to the jewelry aisle, because that's where people ponder the most, where they sit there like this and go, like staring at stuff. So they'll walk up next to someone staring and go, how many inches is that TV? And the guy, then the person will say, oh, it's an 85 inch. I've been thinking about getting a much bigger TV. You go, that's why I'm in this aisle. I was thinking that too. So hold on one sec, guys. Sorry. Okay. So, so they were talking to this person in electronics, and apparently he didn't like it. Well, he walked away, and they kept talking to other people, and then they went to another aisle, and they had this one guy who was in his 80s captured, and he was telling him how his house has 2 stories and he can't go up and down the stairs anymore. And while they were talking to him, and I'm sorry if you've heard this story before, but it's still one of my favorites. The management of Costco came up to ask them to leave. And he started to say, excuse me, ladies, you can't do that here. You're going to need to leave. And the old guy, the 81-year-old guy, looks at the manager of Costco and says, I'm in the middle of a conversation here with some friends. Can you give us a moment? Like that. So he kind of rescued them, but they did end up having to leave. But I thought it was great that that's what they're doing. And they said Costco and Walmart were 2 of their favorite places to do it. And they said they always stuck to the aisles where people stuck around the aisle for a while. And that's what they found in electronics and jewelry. So anyway, good point. Like, there's no way that you can tell me there isn't a way that you could lead generate. Now, here's something I want you to think about. I just, I got to stop for a minute. There's a lady on here named Kate Spivey, and I used to be very good friends with a lady named Pamela Spivey. Kate, are you related to Pamela? Would you come off mute and tell me? No, I guess you won't. Unless she's putting it in the, all right. Well, okay, so that was just a distraction. I apologize, but let's think about this. I want you guys, I'm going to share the screen.
Sorry.
I want you guys, I'm going to share. Oh, I heard you for a second, but you can put your answer in the chat group when you have a moment. All right. So when we go to RGT Resources, one of my favorite things about that site, and I'm going to pull it up and share my screen with you, is the scripts area. There's a really good area with scripts and dialogue. So rgtresources.com. I'm going to share my screen with you and let you guys see this because I want you to go use it. Now, if you go, here's this thing, and you go up here to training. See up here? Can you all see that? Somebody give me a nod. Everybody, anybody, give me a thumbs up. You can see it. Okay, good. So I'm going to click on training, and look under training. It says Rick's Friday coaching calls. You click on that. Now look here. You have all of these email attachments and reference documents. Okay. Here, all of these things on the right here are all links to something. But look at the script, the LP Mama master script, the apology script. Guys, I have never met one person, no matter how fearful they were of lead generating, that didn't like using the apology script as a way to make calls. So the reason I say that is this. The apology script kind of goes like this. I won't open it, but it's here for you to see. It kind of goes like this. It's for those people that you look at and you haven't talked to them in so long, it's almost embarrassing. Do you have those kind of people? So you haven't talked to them in so long, it's almost embarrassing. So you pick up the phone and sometimes they're going to say things like, oh my gosh, Colin? I'm like, is it really Colin? Oh my God, we haven't talked in ages. How are you? And you start by saying, oh my gosh, so good to hear your voice. Good to hear your voice. I just wanted to reach out and say, I apologize for how long it's been since we talked. I take total responsibility for that. How are you? Fill me in. What's new? And you just get caught up. You take really good notes on this, really good notes. Talk about them, their kids, their life, their business. You can go through, see down here where it says the forward technique. That's a good type of thing to use as an indicator when you're on your apology script call, meaning asking them about family, that's the F. Ask them about their occupation, their job, that's the O. The R is their recreation or vacations. Thank you, Vanessa. She's downloaded it and printed it. And ask them about the D, which is what are their dreams? What do you want to see happen? How can I support you in your dreams? Great. Hey, listen, Tom and Mary, since I got you on the phone, and you get how deeply sorry I am for how long it's taken. I've decided that the best way for me to stay in regular communication with you is to at least reach out to you on your birthday every year. So let me write down your birthdays. Tom, what's your birthday? Mary, what's your birthday? And you write them down and you get those into your database or into your calendar so you remember to call them. Now, at the very least, you're going to be reaching out to them once a year so you won't have as much need to apologize. Now, I've been calling people on their birthdays in my entire career. I got a text back from a friend the other day. He says, Rick, I think this is the 30th year in a row you've wished me happy birthday on my birthday. I got a call from a guy the other day. He said, oh my God, Rick, June 9th was my birthday. It's the first year in 20 something years you didn't call me on my birthday, you know, or you didn't text me on my birthday. So like it starts to develop a habit and people start to expect it. But it's a way. Now the apology scripts goes like this. And when you get done, you say, okay, listen, I promise I'm never going to do that. I got your birthdays. I'm going to keep in touch with you. I'll probably send you a little something on your birthday. Let me ask you, outside of real estate, is there anything you might need? Do you need a landscaper? Do you need a babysitter? Do you need the name of a good restaurant? Anything you need, let me know right now. I want to help you with that. And you chat with them. When you get all done, you've got all this new information on them. You've apologized so that it's the discomfort of how long it's been since you called them is out of the way. So you could call them in 2 or 3 more weeks now and say, hey, Tom and Mary, it's Rick again. Listen, I really enjoyed catching up with you a few weeks ago. Today I'm calling about business. Do you have a couple of minutes? Right? Now you've done all the catch up. You've been a good human being. And in the same call, you're not talking about business. You're just talking about things you can help with. Now you're calling back 2, 3 weeks or a month later and saying, Tom, Mary, it's Rick again. You know, that God dang it. I have a hair in my throat or a tickle. All right. So those are the things. Now there's a lot of really good things here in these links, like ways to plan out your week, ways to keep track of your day, ways to keep track of and give points for the information that you receive, or the things that you do to create leads for yourself. There's an actual point system on the Daily Success Habits. Now, I do want to talk a little bit about the LP Mama Master Script. That's for list, price, motivation. Are you working with an agent? Do you need a mortgage appointment? All of that stuff is what LP Mama stands for. I don't know it by heart, but in fact, my boss at the coaching company would kill me if he knew I didn't. But that kind of deciding to get people pre-approved, believe it or not, and it's okay if what I'm about to say challenges your perspective, but I really want you to know this, that the scripts that are working more often today in today's world are not the ones where you try to get them pre-approved, but the ones where you listen to them, what they want, and you show them the house they're calling about. Now, remember, I'm not going to talk right now about personal safety and security. I want you to remember that. And there are experts on it out there about how to stay safe. Make sure you're not making an appointment with a weirdo, going out alone, or putting yourself in danger. But one of the greatest things that's shifting in the market right now is that people are actually not, what's the word I want to use? They're actually hoping, because most buyers in today's world are cognizant of what they are approved for, what they can qualify for, and what they can't. So they're more looking for the appointment. And that is how a lot of top agents right now and top buyers agents are securing the loyalty with that buyer, is because they're acting on the enthusiasm they have for a particular home and getting them out to see it as soon as possible. They're not spending time saying, are you pre-approved? They're going, well, let's get you out to see that. You know, but they are asking questions as they're doing that. Let's meet at a Starbucks nearby so we can narrow down what other things might work for you, stuff like that. So it's really, really a different world out there. And here's how you know it's not working for you. When the buyer says, don't ever call me again, you go, okay, I guess I did something wrong there. I'll do it differently. But you're never, you know what they say, you don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. You've got to start going somewhere and allowing yourself to fail and allowing to learn from each failure. And it's okay. Call the buyer back and say, hey, I know you decided not to work with me. I'm not calling you to bug you about that, but what would I have needed to do differently to have been able to earn your business? That's all. Like, why not ask them? You'd be surprised. About 2 to 3 out of 10 will tell you. The other 7 will think it's going to be confrontational and they don't want to call you back, and they'll ignore your message. But if you get 2 or 3 that tell you, dude, your breath smelled horrible, man. I don't want to work with an agent whose breath smells horrible. And what's that weird part in your head and that bald spot in the back? You know, whatever. They're not going to say that stuff, but I'm saying whatever they say, oh, you were too pushy and you didn't listen to what I wanted and all kinds of things. So it's important. Where can you start? Again, I know you're going to think I'm silly, but when was the last time you went through your entire phone and called everybody in it? Right? And I know what you do. You pick and choose. We all do that. You go, oh, I'm not going to call him. He's busy. Or I'm not going to call them because of this. You make up excuses. No, you call everybody. You leave a voicemail, you leave a text. Every time I leave a voicemail now for someone, because I hear voicemails are old fashioned, I'm also leaving a text. Hey, I left you a long voicemail. I hope you'll listen to it. Right? How can they not now that you've texted them to listen to the voicemail? Guess what? They still won't. But man, I'm working on everything. Whenever I get a moment in the car where I'm not on a call working, then I'm making a call to somebody in my phone randomly, right? And guess what? I always start with the A's, and then all of a sudden I'll find myself, I'm going to start with the Z's and work backwards. I was surprised at how many people I had in the Z's. It was a lot more than I expected. But that's the thing. You've got to be doing something. If we want to make the second half of the year different than the first half, better, different for the better, we got to change all the things we're not doing to things we are doing. So the reason I wanted you to see that page, that RGT resources page, and by the way, let me just, here, I'll share it again. Here, now remember, we're on the screen that says Rick's Free Friday Coaching Calls. Here's my YouTube channel, Rick's Reading List. I don't know that that's been updated lately. This is how to get on the Free Friday Coaching Call. And look down here, it says to be included in the weekly email distribution for Rick's Friday Coaching Call, email Gina at rickgeoz.com. It's all there. All right, she's on maternity leave, but she's still taking care of that stuff. There's a lot of really good stuff in here that you can use, and we're going to be adding more, and we're going to be making this website much more robust. And we want to make it such that it doesn't, listen, I'm going to say this once only, because a lot of you, I had somebody call me the other day. It said, I'm leaving so-and-so company. And I go, okay, is everything okay? Yeah, everything's okay. I go, great. What'd you call about? Can I support you? Can I help you? And he goes, no, I'm not going to be on the call anymore, the Friday coaching call. I go, okay, why? Did your schedule change? And he goes, no, I thought if I wasn't with X company or Y company or B company or Z company that I couldn't be on the call. I said, calls for everyone. We don't talk about company. We don't talk about recruiting. We don't talk about selling anything. Even the only people I allow to even talk about their products are my guest speakers, and that's it. And that's just because I want to thank them for coming on and sharing their wisdom. So everything about this call is intended to help me and you be a better real estate agent. And you might say, you're the one talking. Well, yeah, I'm the one talking, but I'm also the one struggling to be a better real estate agent every day. This is how we all make our money, guys, right? Yeah, I got lucky. I got a bunch of freaking listings. I shouldn't say I got lucky. I worked hard. I got a bunch of listings. But man, I was having a dry spell. And, you know, my wife asked me, she goes, aren't you glad you had that dry spell? Because that caused you to make a hell of a lot more phone calls. And now look, yeah, these phone calls that are yielding these listings probably started in late COVID era in 2020, because that's when I started to go, I got to make more calls. I got to make more calls. So yeah, start now, guys, and let's enrich our future by having people in the pipeline. All right. So let's see, what did I want to go to next? Okay, so understanding the scripts. But here's what I want to tell you also about scripts is allowing the scripts to freeze you. We cannot let this happen. Now, Claire, I don't know you. We just met. How long have you been in real estate? Unmute yourself and tell me that.
Not long at all. I mean, I've just kind of got interested in it in the last week or so.
Okay, great. So this is perfect that we got Claire here, brand freaking new, right? She's negative days in the real estate industry. Like she hasn't even had a day yet, right? So the reason I say that is people have conversations. They're not doing presentations about the fact that they're, hi, I'm a real estate agent. Did you notice my name tag right here? You're not doing that. You're having authentic, sincere conversations with everybody. The one thing that I've noticed that is the best conversation starter for anybody you kind of know, my gosh, how have you been? I know it's been a while since we've talked. This last year and a half has been nutso. How have you handled it? How are you physically, mentally? How are your relationships? What's going on for you? And just listen. Shut off your mouth, open your two ears, and let them talk. And when they stop talking, you say, oh, tell me more about that, so that they will talk even some more. What your goal is to get them to empty their emotional cup onto you. Vent. Let them vent to you. Now, why do I say this? Someone like Claire, she talked to everybody, talk. They'll talk. She's taking notes. She's keeping track of what's going on. So next time she talks to him, she could say, remember when you said that your dog was sick? How's your dog doing? Right? Like she can remember that and go back to it. But here's why I say it. there will be a point. It might not be the first call. It might not be the second call, but certainly by the third call where they're going to say, we have been talking about me for freaking ever, Claire. I want to hear about you. What's going on with you? Eventually, they're going to turn that around. And if they don't, you've already gotten what we call implied permission to start talking about you. Hey, Mary, listen, it's been so great the last couple of calls getting to know you. I want to make sure you understand one thing, is that I'm also here to support you. And if you share more of your dreams and goals with me, I can tell you whether or not I can support you in achieving any of those dreams or goals. You never know. You don't know what I've been through in my life. I don't know what you've been in yours, but once I know your dreams and goals, I can tell you if any of the resources I have will be helpful for you. That's one thing, guys, we all have an obligation to do. Mention that to people. All right, here's what, there was a saying I heard. I was at an awards banquet. It was for all realtors, and a man from Prudential stood up and accepted an award. And the award was a pretty big award. It was more about, it was kind of like a good neighbor award for our local association. And he stood up and he said, thank you very much, I'm honored. And he said, I only have one thing to say. And he said this line and he walked off stage, and it was this: to whom much is given, much is expected. Right? And I started thinking, much is given. What does he mean by that? Is that money? Is that talent? Is that success? What does the word much mean? Much of what? And him and I actually became much closer personal friends after that, because we sat down a few days later. I didn't know him that well. I knew him. We were all in the same marketplace, you know, and I called him up and I said, let's go have a bite together. And I just challenged him on that, but not like challenge, like, what the hell were you saying that for? But more like, tell me more about what I'm not listening to about that. He goes, and this was a point in my life where I was financially in the dumps. And he said, I said, well, like, do you mean financially? He goes, not at all. He goes, Rick, you're the perfect person for that. To whom much is given, much is expected. And I said, why do you say that? He goes, because you've been given some brains and some talent, and you have sensitivities for people. He said, those are all God-given gifts. He said, so to whom much is expected, to whom much is given, much is expected. In other words, you're expected to pay it forward. How many of you are so trapped in the misery of where you are right now? Don't raise your hand or say anything. Just think, woe is me. You know where I am in my life? It sucks. No, it doesn't. It's exactly where you're supposed to be. It is. Know that, believe in that, and then start looking around for the lesson and the miracle, because those two are happening every day, whether you're noticing them or not. You're either getting a lesson and or getting a miracle all at the same time, but you're not paying attention. Do you get that? For you to break free and get consistent about lead generation, I don't care what you're lead generating for. It could be, I want to lead generate for a home warranty. I want to lead generate because I recruit agents. I want to lead generate because I sell more houses. Whatever your gig is, it's all about lead generation. It's all about consistency. But man, when you think you're a pile of poop, doesn't matter who you talk to, because all that you do is smell this pile of poop you keep talking about. You're not. You have everything you need. You're an amazing. Look at your gifts. What are your gifts? Think about them. I don't know. You know. You need to know your gifts. And I think you do know them. I think you're just busy, violating your implied relationship with God by, undermining these amazing assets that you have, right? I remember as a kid, I was a nerd. I was beat up, thrown into bushes, picked on. I was living overseas at one point in Saudi Arabia on one of my dad's job transfers. Do you know what the most common thing in Saudi Arabia is out in the middle of nowhere? Is donkeys. You know what donkeys say? Hee-haw, hee-haw. So my last name was Jiha. So people go, Jiha, hee-haw, right? Like, then they'd pick me up and throw me in the bushes, right? So I grew up not very impressed that I was a good person. But the one thing that would happen, everywhere I went, people would say, oh my gosh, you have beautiful eyes, right? Girls didn't like me. I couldn't get a date if you paid me. Like, it was a very bad time from 8 years old to 18 in terms of the being picked on and all of that. But the one thing is I would never wear sunglasses. I wouldn't wear sunglasses. People go, I never see you wear sunglasses. I go, yeah, I just, I think the biggest asset God gave me was my eyes, and I just don't like hiding them, because it was the only compliment I ever got. All right. Now think about that. Were nice looking eyes my only asset? No, I had brains. I had great parents. I had a tremendous family. I was surrounded by love. So you think about these things every day, and remember to find, okay, find your assets and then share them with the world. To whom much is given, much is expected. Now, one of the greatest jokes I ever heard. If you guys ever have a chance to look up a guy named Dr. Murray Banks, Dr. Murray Banks, he hasn't been around for years. This was back in the, when did I hear Dr. Murray Banks? In the 60s. I had a record album that I used to play of him. He was a Jewish psychologist, comedian. He literally was a licensed psychiatrist. And he did all this amazing humor that had life lessons in the humor. I think that was the beginning of my desire to hear upbeat life stuff. But he used to say, you know, parents were talking, they had two boys, and one was an optimist and one was a pessimist, and they didn't know what to get them for Christmas. So they went to the doctor, and the doctor said, listen, get a pile of manure for the optimist, and for the pessimist, get him a big pile of toys, right? So Jimmy was the pessimist and Johnny was the optimist. So they had them spend the night on Christmas Eve in the living room near the Christmas tree, and then they put their gifts in their bedroom. And you know, they made a big pile of manure in Johnny's room and a big pile of toys in Jimmy's room. And they wake them up Christmas morning and they go, oh my gosh, kids, get up, you missed Santa Claus. And they go, there's nothing under the tree. They go, well, Santa said he had so much for you that he put them in your bedroom, right? So Jimmy goes running off to his bedroom, and Johnny goes running off to his bedroom, and they shut the door, and you know, Johnny's door is shut, and they're like, we're not hearing anything. So they go back there and they open Jimmy's bedroom door. Jimmy, the one with the big pile of toys, the pessimist. And they go, and he's sitting there, and all the toys are unwrapped and they're out of their boxes, and he's sitting there like this. And they go, Jimmy, what's wrong? Didn't you like the toys Santa got you? He goes, Johnny probably got better toys. Pessimist, right? Did he change because they gave him the toys? No. So they go into they go down the hallway to Johnny's room. They open Johnny's room, and this big pile of manure, and Johnny's feet are sticking out of the manure, and his head is way down into the middle of the manure. And they go, Johnny, what are you doing? And he goes, you can't fool me. If there's manure, there's got to be a pony. Now, which is your attitude about your life, right? Which is your attitude about your searching for business? You know, people say, I'm going to knock on these doors, but people are going to say, quit bothering me. It's, you know, I don't like when people knock on my door. No, that's true. Some will say that, but not all. I've been door knocking since 1988. They don't all say that. In fact, the majority are happy to see you. In fact, the majority are happy to see anyone, believe me. And nowadays, right, it's been ages since people had regular adult communication with anyone that they didn't know. So I'm going to tell you something. Do you know what I found out from a lady who does postcards the other day? I found out that the amount of mail in people's mailboxes is down by 81% over the last 10 years. So you know what that means? That means people are more willing to look at what we used to call junk mail because they don't get any. Thank you for this. That's like, those are the lessons that you've got to actually bring into yourself and say, I'm going to go out and get myself some business. And there's no excuse for stopping. What I used to say, I used to speak about this in classes that I did around the US for Keller Williams. I'd say realtors are famous for get ready, get set, get ready, get set, and then there's no go. Because why? Oh, well, I got to do this. I got to do that. I got to have a perfect website. I got to have a CRM. Talk to people. Like, that's our job. Talk to more people. Get to know more people. Ask to be a support in their dreams and goals. And then you now have implied permission to say, by the way, I'm in real estate. I work with an incredible team. Together, we're the top agents in the area. And I really want to know, do you know someone right now that's thinking about buying or selling a home? Now, you guys, hi, Cheryl Lister. One of the things that I have done is I've eliminated buying now. Because inventory has been so low, when I talk to people, I say, who do you know right now? Notice the word right now. Guys, that's NLP. That's psychology. Who do you know right now that's thinking about selling their home? Inventory is so low. Hi, Mr. and Mrs. So-and-so. Would you do me a little favor? Do you know that 71% of Americans like to do favors? 71%. These are actual statistics. Look them up. Would you do me a favor? Sure. What do you need? Listen, keep your ears and eyes open. There's hardly anything on the market. So pay attention to whoever wants to come on in who wants to, sell a home, like, because we need a lot of homes on the market. So, all right. I've gone a lot longer than I expected. I want to stop, get some ahas, thoughts, questions, perspectives, anything you got. What do you got? We got 4 minutes for that.
So Reagan, she and I had worked on circle prospecting, just calling, just because I wanted to get her familiar with calling. And she called a number, and that was about probably 5 months ago. She called a number and it was a wrong number. She ended up pulling a $550,000 listing off of it and put it on the market yesterday.
She thought it was $100,000 listing.
Yeah, and she thought it was a $150,000 listing when she called, but she didn't understand that that was just his rent house that she was calling on, and he had a personal home to sell. So I just got on one yesterday about, why aren't you picking up the phone and calling? Why aren't you stopping and door knocking? Why aren't, just be brave, step out and do it. And I am following up every interaction that I have with a note card again. Like, I'm back to that because.
Good. And you did walk away from note cards for a little bit, right?
I did because things were just going so well. You know how when things are going, you're just going. Well, now I'm like, no, I'm back because I'm not getting as much mail. And when I know I'm not getting as much mail and I'm excited about a bill, I'm like, hey, somebody sent me something. Then I'm like, oh, I need to send more notes. Yeah. So I've been doing that.
It's so funny you say that, because we hadn't been to this house. This is the house we bought. It's still got construction going on, and we came, we're just throwing an air mattress and sleeping on the floor. There's still construction going on. And I go, did you check the mail? She goes to the mail. There's like 4 things, and we haven't been here for 2 weeks. I'm like, okay, well, not as much mail, but yeah, I get that. What I want to do, I'm going to announce this right here in front of everybody, because I hope she'll say yes. Vanessa, I'd like you to be a guest speaker on the call next week. Would you honor us with that? Because there's so many things I know about you that I want you to share that the rest of people don't know about you. And you've been even with your level of productivity, you're still on these calls and you're still learning all the time. Would you be our guest speaker next week?
Absolutely. I'd be honored.
Okay, good.
I'd be honored for sure.
Okay.
I hope I add value. I just want to add value. I'm all about like, shut up if you can't add value, or add value if you can. So I want to add value.
Well, thank you. I know you will. So we'll look forward to having you on the call next week. All right. Anybody else have something that they want to chat about, or whatever, anything you got? Okay. All right. Well,
Rick, I have a question.
Sure. Who is that? Oh, Tom Costello. How are you,
Tom
sir?
Costello. I'm well, sir. Thank you. Looking forward to chatting with you later today.
Yes.
Quick question about your thoughts earlier about when you gave the example of working with buyers. You said so many agents wait for them to be pre-approved before they take them out. So I've got a buyer that I met actually through Nextdoor. I found out about a listing that was coming, but I didn't get the listing, but I knew it was coming on the market. So I did a coming soon on Nextdoor, and I just described the house without giving away the address. And sure enough, I got some bites off it, which is really cool. Anyway, turned it into a client, which I'm excited about, buyer client. Met her to show her the house once that came on the market. And now I'm in the process of getting her pre-approved. So I've always been taught, and maybe this was just KW speak, to make sure that they're qualified before you spend a lot of time with them. So can you just dig a little deeper on that? I don't want to waste my time, yet I don't want to lose them. So where's the balance of, if they're not pre-approved, you really don't know what they can do, if they can do anything, and where they can buy. So it seems wisdom to make sure you get that done. Yet it sounded like you were suggesting, don't wait for that to happen. Take them out and show stuff, meet with them, get them locked in. Am I wrong about that? Am I missing something? What did you really mean by that?
No, that's exactly what I meant. What you did on Nextdoor is a lesson in itself. So all of us have access to Nextdoor. Yes, you can advertise on it and pay, but you can also just be adding value on Nextdoor. When someone says, oh, I need this, I need that, you could put it on there. And people do thank you for that. But no, that's a great story, Tom. And I think that,
I was really excited how that turned out. I thought,
right,
that was
right.
creative.
And
that was cool.
But you didn't wait to pre-qualify this person to get them to go out and look at the home, right?
correct. I just
Yeah.
said, let's meet the house, because I didn't,
Yeah.
at that point, it was just a next door. I didn't have her number. I didn't have her email. I didn't even have her name for like the first 5 conversations going back and forth. I was just kind of woo her in just really slowly, just, before I asked her anything. I just wanted, we were joking. She was about her senior knees, and, that kept coming up, and,
Yeah.
just making her feel comfortable and get safe. And yeah, exactly.
Okay, cool. And I would say that that's the, I don't know, quintessential example of what I was talking about is they're actually coming up with some. Workman Success Systems, the company I coach with, is saying we can't use LP Mama, and they called it something else like Llama or something like that, where it's, talk about why they got so excited about the house and then get them out to see it, period. And then you start pre-approval. Are you working with another agent? Like that kind of stuff. But that there's so big of a win in connecting with them on showing them the one home that they had so much excitement about. So thank you. You couldn't have said something more powerful.
Okay, good. So it sounds like by accident, I kind of did the right thing. I mean, I kind of knew what I was doing, but I just wanted to make sure that, with what you're talking about, I just wanted to meet her. I just wanted to build the rapport, build the connection. And I obviously did that over our text from next door, but
Right.
it's not as powerful as meeting in person. So we met in person. I locked her in, and, now I'm working with her, and she's like, yeah, no problem working with you. So I've got her working with my lender. So, okay. Yeah. I just wanted the distinction of getting them, meeting them, and then locking them in and moving them forward.
Yeah. Awesome. And how long have you been in the business? And I'm asking for a specific reason. I know, but I just want you to say it to everybody.
How long have I been in the business? About 18 years.
Yeah, 18 years. So guys, look, this is what I love. I got Vanessa on the call, Tom with 18 years, Vanessa on the call. Vanessa, you're like at 12, 13 years right now?
16.
16. And these guys are still learning base. They've both experienced tons of success. So Tom, I can't thank you enough for sharing that. There's lots of lessons in your story. So thank you very much.
Absolutely, brother. My pleasure.
All right. Okay. So if you've got anything else you want to share, I'd be glad to hear it. If not, most of you know how to get a hold of me. Actually, getting a hold of me is easy through RGT Resources and any other method you have. Somebody called me the other day on my cell phone. I was like, so glad you called. How'd you get my cell phone? They go, I Googled your name. Your cell phone popped right up. I'm like, good to hear. So if you need anything, guys, reach out to me. Let's have an amazing weekend and a great week. Let's remember July 1st is coming. Start building the habits and practices that you need to have the best second half ever. All right. And let's all jump on next week to hear our guest speaker, Vanessa Johnson, all the way from Oklahoma. See you guys.
Thank you, Rick.
My pleasure.
Bye.
Bye everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rick.
Thank you.
Thank you.